Well, if it ain't the cutest thing on the farm right now. Hi guys, how are you? My little 1 and 2 day olders. Yeah, all doing good. That's good. Snacks are being delivered in grains tonight. But I do have one for Billie Jean that we can take to her. She doesn't get grain in the evening. Hey guys, welcome back to Ashley's Homestead Adventures. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's go feed this apple to this noisy heifer. So I learned this about cows. They don't do well with like round things. So you gotta smash it for them so they don't swallow it whole and choke on it. Well, come here. You. Walk your tubby butt over here. You ready? Oh, you're more than ready, aren't you? Here. Oh my goodness, you're dropping pieces all over the place. You're welcome. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm sorry. Now that my hand is all gross. Okay, good night, kids. I'll see you when I come and do my bedtime check. I'll turn everybody's fans off. It'll have cooled off enough by then. Okay, we are in the kitchen this evening, and I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and we are going to make marinara sauce. And I'm going to can this eventually. I don't know if I'm going to can it today because it needs to cook down for 2 hours. So I might just go ahead and cook it tonight, put it in the fridge, and then bring it back out tomorrow and reheat it, bring it back up to a boil while my jars sanitize, and then can it tomorrow before I go to work. We'll see how far I get, but I want to roast my tomatoes. I love the taste of roasted tomatoes, so we are going to deal with frozen tomatoes that I had in the freezer, as well as fresh tomatoes, and we're going to get them all on roasting pans so that they can roast off in the oven, get a lot of that liquid out, and then we'll start making our marinara sauce. Going to drop a photo in here of the ingredients of this recipe, and then you guys can look at that, and I will also tell you that it is from daringgourmet.com, and it's best marinara sauce is what the recipe's called. And then of course I'm modifying it a little bit, like for instance she calls for a ½ cup of dehydrated onion. We're going to use fresh onion, and I'm probably going to use a whole one because we like onion in our marinara sauce. But I wanted you guys to know where you could find it, and that it's not my original recipe. Okay, so I have some thawed bags of tomatoes, and these are from the freezer. And then I also have a whole tray of tomatoes that need to be used. So I'm going to get to getting these on sheet trays and get them in the oven. Okay, there is the first tray, and these are obviously some of the frozen. Perfect timing. My oven just dinged at me and said it was preheated to 400. So there's still a little bit of ice on these, and that's okay. We're gonna put them in the 400-degree oven for 30 minutes and let them bake and get nice and roasty toasty, I hope. I probably should have moved that, huh? I think I will move that top rack down a little bit. There, that's better. And then I'll put the other one on that rack. I am lining my baking sheets with foil just to help with easy cleanup and not sticking, because I'm not using any oil in this because I'm going to can it. All right, second sheet's ready to go. This one has frozen and then of course fresh, and lots of these are Queen of the Night. There's large barred boar. These are Chef's Choice. Lots of variety there. All right, I'm going to move this one up there. This one there for 30 minutes. Unfortunately, I still have a few more left, so I'm going to end up with 3 trays of tomatoes, but that's okay. It's just another tray. It's not a big deal. Okay, here's our final tray, and I did not demonstrate this for you, but basically I am just coring. I'm taking out the core of the tomato and scoring, and I'm just cutting. Scoring is just cutting an X on the back side of the tomato. I am throwing in my cherry tomatoes just because they've got such great flavor, and I need a use for them. They're going to go to the chickens if I don't do something with them. So coring and scoring before we go in the oven. And we're all done, and now that's all that down there is just going to be chicken scraps. My chickens love this time of year because they're constantly getting garden scraps. To seize the opportunity of having a extra tray, and I'm going to go ahead and have this onion and put it on that tray, and then I'm going to go ahead and peel all of my garlic. This is garlic that I grew in my garden, and get it on the tray and then just watch it real close. Roasted garlic is really good, but I might just watch it and then pull it when it, you know, starts to get brown on the edges. I don't want to burn the garlic, but we'll see. Okay, the first tray is done, so I'm going to pull them out and allow them to cool on the oven. Okay, and I move the next one up, and then I put the one that we just did on the bottom. Look at how much juice is there. That is a lot of juice. So I'm actually going to drain the juice off of these, and they're too hot to handle right now. I need to peel the skins off of them when they cool off a little bit, but they're way too hot to be going about doing that now. In the meantime, I've got my pot over here, and this is the pot that I'm going to cook the marinara sauce in. I'm going to go ahead and put all of the other ingredients in there so that part is done while I'm waiting for the tomatoes to cool. 2 tablespoons of sea salt. I'm using Himalayan. 1 tablespoon of dark balsamic vinegar. I don't have dark, I just have old, so I'm going to use my good balsamic vinegar. 1.5 teaspoons of dried rosemary. I am actually going to crush this up. I am going to crush this rosemary up a little bit. 1.5 teaspoons of crushed rosemary. One and a half teaspoons of dried oregano. 1.5 teaspoons of dried basil. A little extra because I like basil. 1.5 teaspoons of dried thyme. One teaspoon of crushed fennel seed. Teaspoon of dried sage. 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Our next tray is ready to come out of the oven. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the garlic. Back to our pot of goods. We need 2 bay leaves. Okay, now that that is done and we're ready for tomatoes, I am actually going to set up my food mill and see if this is the time that I should use it, if it will make this easier for me, because the recipe calls for you to squeeze the seeds out, and that just seems like a real pain in the butt. So I think I'm gonna mill these tomatoes. That's what I bought it for. I bought it for tomatoes, so I'm gonna see how this goes. Okay, I think this is gonna work. Okay, I like it. Okay. Make sure you scrape off the bottom of it before you move it. It's It's got all that yummy goodness on the bottom of it there. Ooh. Now it's time to get these onions and garlic chopped up. Oh, I wish you could smell my house right now. It smells phenomenal in here. It smells like an Italian kitchen. So now we're just gonna put it on the stove. I'm gonna stir it up. We haven't stirred all those ingredients in yet. I am going to bring this to a boil or a simmer. I'm going to bring it to a simmer, and then I'm going to keep it at a simmer for 2 hours. Taste test, shall we? Oh, when that is cooked down, oh my goodness, it's as good as I remember it. All right, let's bring it up to a good simmer here. We are bubbling good, so now I'm just gonna find whatever setting on my stove it is that will allow it to just simmer, and simmer it for 2 hours. And this is going to evaporate, essentially, our sauce. It's going to evaporate the liquid out of it, the water, and condense the flavor. So it's going to give us a thicker sauce and a more condensed flavor sauce by doing this, by boiling it for 2 hours on the stove. That's what this is doing, is and boiling is not the right word, simmering. By simmering it on the stove for 2 hours, it is basically just evaporating and becoming more condensed flavor and thicker. And it's very common in marinara recipes, especially when you're using fresh tomatoes, because fresh tomatoes have a lot of water in them. So we want to cook this down, and you'll see when I come back, when it's 2 hours later, you'll see how much in the pot it's gone down, and it'll be a lot. Okay, we're over an hour in and still bubbling away, but I went ahead and decided to get my canner ready, and I'm gonna go ahead and can this tonight. To make sure I'm at my line here. Yep. All right. Okay, I got the canner all loaded, locked, and it is sanitizing my jars for me. Give this a little stir. Oh yeah, we're starting to look a little thicker. A little bit more like marinara sauce. All right, timer just went off. And here is what it looks like now. You can see that it has dropped about 1.5 to 2 inches in the pot. And it has thickened up nicely. So I'm gonna get it into jars and get it in the canner. Okay, I'm going to add my lemon juice because I do not have citric acid. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice. To each jar. I'm going to do 4 jars to start. Okay, 3.5 jars. And it does float, so it cannot be canned. Inch. They are going in for 40 minutes. Recipe calls for 35 for pints, but because of my elevation, we have to go 40. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me on my evening of snacks with Billie Jean, chicks, and marinara sauce canning. Yours truly.